Why most people settle for a life they never chose. At some point, most people stop asking whether the life they are living is actually the life they want. They get busy, responsibilities accumulate, time passes, and somewhere in the middle of all of it, a quiet resignation sets in. This is just how things are. This is just my life. And they settle. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gradually, one small compromise at a time. Until one day they look up and realize the life around them was never really chosen. It was inherited, defaulted into, stumbled upon, built from other people's expectations, from fear of disappointing people, from taking the path of least resistance because the alternative felt too uncertain. And now, here they are, decades in, living a life that functions, but doesn't truly fit. So how does this happen? It happens because choosing deliberately is genuinely hard. A real choice requires knowing what you want, and knowing what you want requires self-knowledge. And self-knowledge requires time and honest reflection that most people never carve out. So instead of choosing, they drift. They take the available option rather than the right one. They follow the expected path rather than the true one. They say yes to what's in front of them rather than pursuing what's actually calling them. And drifting feels safe. It feels responsible. It feels like the mature thing to do. But drifting has a cost. The cost is ownership. When you drift into a life, you cannot fully own it because you didn't fully choose it. And a life you cannot own is a life you cannot change. Because changing it requires first acknowledging that you chose it, or that you failed to choose. Both are uncomfortable, so most people avoid both and drift further. So what does it look like to actually choose your life? It starts with an honest audit, not of what your life looks like from the outside, but of how it feels from the inside. Where are you showing up fully? And where are you just going through motions? Where does your energy feel alive? And where does it feel drained? What parts of your life did you actively choose? And what parts simply accumulated without your conscious participation? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are the beginning of ownership. The second thing is to get clear on what you actually value. Not what you were taught to value, not what looks valuable to others. What matters to you when nobody is watching and nothing is performing? Most people have never answered that question honestly. They've answered a version of it shaped by expectation and conditioning. But underneath all of that, there is something real, something that has been waiting quietly for you to pay attention to it. Find that thing, because it is your compass. And without a compass, you will keep drifting. The third thing is to make one deliberate choice today. Not a complete life overhaul, not a dramatic gesture. Just one choice that comes from what you actually want rather than what's expected or convenient. One honest decision, no matter how small. Because the habit of choosing deliberately starts with a single deliberate choice, and then another, and then another, until slowly your life starts to reflect someone who is living it on purpose. Not perfectly, not without difficulty, but consciously, honestly, intentionally. That is what separates a life that fits from one that was simply inherited. The difference is not circumstance. It is not luck or timing or privilege. It is the willingness to stop drifting, to stop defaulting, to stop letting life happen to you and start making deliberate choices about who you are and where you are going. That willingness is available to you right now. Not someday, not when things settle. Now. Choose your life. Own your direction. Wake up, unplug, and rise.